What is up, family, and welcome to another episode of the True Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Conway, and I'm also the head programmer and the founder of True Fitness. TTRU Fitness.com is where you can find our programs and our training. I know a lot of you have been around and have been following me for a few years, if not several years, throughout my fitness journey. And I want to open this episode, as will be very frequent in the episodes to follow. If you are tuning in to the YouTube channel, Adrian Conway's YouTube channel, um, please comment on the video to give me topics and things to explore for the future. I want to make sure that I'm bringing as much value to our community as possible. But today we're going to jump right in and dive into a question. This question initially came from at Heavy Barrel 27 a while back, and it was how to better trust the process when training. What this tells me is that this particular individual is in the process of chasing a goal, which I hope that each and every one of you, in some way, shape, or form, is actually doing. Having a goal, having a date on the calendar, having a reason to go grind in the gym. And it could be even as general as I just want to be a healthier version of myself, but I would encourage you to put some metrics to that healthier version. Is it that you want to lose 3 pounds of body fat and perform in conditioning or gymnastics movements better? Is it that you want to increase your strength in your lower body, and by how much and with what lift? Is it that you want to do more strict handstand push-ups? Is it that you want to sign up for a high rocks? Is it that you want to run a half marathon? Is it that you want to run your first full mile without stopping? Is it that you want to run a 5K in a specific time? My whole point with this as I dive into this question is you must have something that you are chasing, which will then entail a process in order to get there. I've worked in the fitness industry for 21 years, and I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest obstacle for a lot of people is that they're poor at goal setting. So shout out to you, Heavy Barrel, for having a goal to chase, because I want to say and encourage you with that you're already one step in a direction of chasing that thing and having that intention. Hold on, I need an espresso shot. Didn't want to let it get cold before I took my first sip. Can't beat it. Shout out to Colonel Coffee. Um, Back to my focus. Trusting the process is something that is very hard to do. Again, this is with the assumption that the process is set before you in some way. If you have a coach like me, that means we've got a training program and a plan to attack your said goal or outcome. The process is the journey and the steps that are entailed in order to achieve that thing. How do you trust the process? First and foremost, you must trust the source. This is really big. And this is something that I lean into a lot. When I work with clients, I try to do a lot of digging in regards to their personality. I ask questions that are very direct in regards to what I want to learn from them, but it's very indirect in their experience. When they're having a conversation with me, a lot of times they think they're having a regular conversation and they're not. I'm trying to get to know a side of their heart that maybe they would rather reserve. I want to know why they want to do this thing that they come to me for. And I also want to try to fish around for what they're going to do if this doesn't plan out, or pan out. Sorry. The idea behind this is that I want to actually dig into their real why, not the superficial why, right? A lot of people come to me saying, Adrian, I want to make it to the CrossFit Games. Adrian, I want to make it to an in-person semifinal. Adrian, I want to be top 1% in the world. Adrian, I want to be top 10% in the world. Adrian, I want to go from intermediate to RX athlete. Then all that is amazing. Again, I want every human being that walks the face of this earth to have something to be working toward. As a coach, I feel like that's part of my responsibility. Be working towards something. Every one of you, it gives you purpose. For me, throughout my years, have shifted and changed my goals. When I was young, I wanted to go play in the NFL. I knew that I needed to be a great high school player in order to do that. I wanted to play varsity sports as a freshman. Guess what? It was because I saw other great players that were achieving things that I desired to achieve. That's what they were doing. I wanted to be able to dunk a basketball by the time I was 16. I wanted to be able to do all these things were things I literally started thinking about when I was a boy, because I watched my dad coach basketball and I watched some of his players be able to do these things. And the players that scored 1,000 points started racking up points, and 1,000 points in their career often started racking up points as freshmen. Might have been bench points. It might have been, just 100 points total throughout the year that they could contribute, or 50 points throughout the year. But the point is that they were putting themselves in that atmosphere. Same with running backs that broke their schools or states all-time rushing records. It's like they started to accumulate that work early. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And I'm saying this to help you guys stay with me. I'm saying this to share my perspective on the importance of trusting the process here and why the process isn't just about this small goal that you think you're actually headed towards. The goal matters, but it's much bigger than the goal. And here's why. I didn't make it to the NFL. I had all these goals and I started to check them off. I started to check off these boxes. My friends lost their way that said they had the same goals I did. They did not keep checking boxes, and I continued to check those boxes all the way through the best I could my final year at Weber State University, where it became quite obvious to me that I just wasn't durable enough to play at the next level and do it at a high level. I struggled to play at a Division I AA level and stay healthy enough to accumulate the reps and the touchdowns and the yardage to even be a blip on the radar in the big sky. Harsh reality, because that was my lifelong goal. But as I was doing that, I began a real relationship with God too. And not to make this a spiritual sermon, but what is important for you to understand, if you follow me as a coach, as a man, as a human, as a father, as whatever reason that you're here to be taught by me or encouraged or inspired or challenged by me, is that God is the foundation of my why, everything I do. Meaning that after I became a disciple and I started studying the Bible, I still played arena football. But I played arena football hard and did it to the best of my abilities so that I could empty the tank on whatever God had planned for me with football, because I'd already put this plan in motion, right? So it looked like this was a path for me, and I took it and I trusted that that was the path, and I went headlong there, no regrets. That was that journey ended. But it ended as it took me to my next career, which was to be here with you talking on this podcast, to be a strength conditioning coach for a variety of sports. People that play professional, people that grow up and stop playing at elementary school levels, people who want to lose weight, people want to gain weight, people want to go to the CrossFit Games and dominate other humans and be top 0.00001% of the world in something. Because I studied human performance in college. So I failed to be a football player, but I found something else that I love. Then I found CrossFit. Then I started pursuing CrossFit headlong, all the while still working tirelessly at growing in my relationship with God, because that's actually my foundation and my base. But I gave everything I could to be a CrossFit Games individual champion. I wanted to be a champion. I wanted to be Matt Frazier. I wanted to be Rich Froning. I wanted to be Graham Holmberg. I wanted to be Ben Smith. I wanted to be Jason Khalipa. I wanted to be OPT. I wanted to be Miko Salo. I wanted to be all these men, Justin Medeiros. Now we've got the young guys coming up, James Sprague, Jeff Adler. I wanted to be these champions, and I failed at it. I wasn't good enough to do that. But you see, my foundation was God. So what that took me to was continuing on this journey. And then I started coaching, but my mood stayed fine. It wasn't like I let my whole world down, my earth shatter, because I had a strong base. But I'm okay with saying I wasn't good enough to have that. I wasn't smart enough to have that. The stars didn't align for me, because to be a champion at the fittest or to make it to the NFL, not only do you have to have talent, not only do you have to work, but you also have to have things aligned perfectly, almost like the stars aligning in the galaxy and the earth and space and time, right? Things got to work out. Did I trust the process to get me where I wanted to go? I did. And I stayed on it, but it failed me still. And look at where I'm at. Right. And I say this because you have to trust the process, that things will work out, not always in the way that you think, but things will work out in the way that they should. So I'm not here heavy barrel to tell you that if you trust the process, things are going to work out exactly how they should. But let me tell you something. If you've done your diligence, if you invest in a proper coach, if you invest in the proper program, if you then do the training and leave no stone unturned, meaning that you got a coach right here, I might not be your personal coach, but you got a coach right here that's telling you, if you're training hard and you're not sleeping well, you're wasting your time. If you're training hard and you're not eating well, you're wasting your time. If you're training hard and you're training more than you should be, you're wasting your time. Because see, there's no process for you to trust, because you already don't trust it, because you're being negligent in all these other areas. So for a lot of people that ask me personally, how do I trust the process? I say step one is to actually do the process and be all in the process. You see, because there's so many people that have so many insecurities, they're actually afraid to be all in with something and to say, I'm doing my best, and to actually be doing their best. So I wanted to challenge you from your perspective, not knowing where your perspective is in this big picture to get you fired up about the idea of being obedient, being submissive to the process. Again, let's track back. What do you got to have first? You got to have a very strong foundation. It should come from faith, in my opinion, but it can come from other things. If anyone is ever curious about where I get the passion and zeal for my faith, I would love to share it with you on a personal level. If it ain't that, it's got to be something. Then you've got to have a leader. You've got to have a coach. You've got to have a mentor. You got to have somebody that can guide you and you are willing to be all in with. Because see, if where this process is coming from isn't someone that you wholeheartedly trust, it's not an investment that you're making in your future because you want to take the shortcut and do the program that's not for you and do the right. If you're doing all that, no, I can't say that you should trust the process. I really can't. So there are a lot of levels to this, but how you trust the process is to stay in it. Um, and for me, a lot of it is to shape your mindset around the intended outcome. Are you willing to chase it with all you have in every way, shape, or form? Explore every possible stone, reveal every nook and cranny in your weaknesses. Um, and I'm talking, folks. This branch is far beyond CrossFit and training. This branch is far beyond fitness. This is like, yo, if you're trying to pursue a relationship with God, guess what? You got to trust the process. And guess what part of the process is? Being all in. The Bible tells us all your soul, all your heart, all your mind. 10 out of 10 is all, not 9 out of 10, right? So people be like 9 out of 10 and 8 out of 10, even from a spiritual perspective, and be like, how do I trust the process? You don't, because you're not even in the process. Oh, man, my marriage is in a rough coach. I need to be honest with you. My marriage is struggling. Okay, cool. How can I help you? I have these kind of conversations with my clients because they're that comfortable with me. So how can I help you? I want to help. Well, we got this going on. We got that going on. So it sounds to me that you're not all in on your marriage then, because if this is going on and that's going on, then how are you communicating clearly? And when's the last time you brought this up? And when's the last time you asked for forgiveness? And now we're having real conversations, because now we're really talking about being all in to the process. So first and foremost, be all in, have a process that's all in for you. When the road gets hard, this is where it gets touchy, because at every point in someone's process, the road will become rocky and more narrow, meaning that the path will become more resistant and you won't want to take it. You'll be like, man, I'm having a sticking point. Man, I'm hitting plateaus. Okay. So again, who's designing your process and who's in the fight with you? Talk with them, explore, turn every stone again, return over every stone. If you're not getting better at things at all, maybe you should adjust the process or change where you're getting the process from. Because there is also wisdom in knowing when to stop and knowing when to pivot. I'm not saying to quit, because in my mind, when you literally turn over every stone of something that you're pursuing, you are not quitting even when you fail. And some people love this perspective of I don't lose, I only learn. And I like that too. But it's just framing. You do lose. Because if I beat you at something, I'm going to let you know you lost. I beat you. And if you beat me at something, I expect you to let me know you lost. I beat you. And I'll be like, yeah, I lost. And I gave my all to try to beat you. So respect. But it is very true when you say personally that you might not lose and you only learn, because it allows you to pivot maybe to something greater, something that suits you more, something that is more realistic. So the outcome can be more fruitful. Whatever that looks like. It could be financially, it could be reward system, it could be just for life and quality of life and all the things. So I hate that I took more than 10 minutes to answer this question, and we're going to approach just over 15 here as I try to wrap this. But how to trust the process is the first and foremost, trust your source. It is to be all in, to turn every stone and to return every stone, and to stay on the journey until you reach the point where there is no fruit, no reward, and it's very obvious that it's time to pivot. And then you might need to change the process or the source, right? But you've got to be disciplined and you've got to be in it for the long game. I'll wrap up with this. There are people who come to me saying that they want a goal, something like I want to go to the CrossFit Games. Okay, I'm going to keep using this as an example because so many people do pursue me for that intended outcome. I want to go to the CrossFit Games. They've never even been to a semifinal. Um, they've never even been on the semifinal floor, and they're telling me they want to make it to the CrossFit Games. The cart you have now put before the horse, in my opinion. Some people say, hey, dream big, go get it. No, I'm going to say, who makes it to the CrossFit Games? Well, athletes who perennially make it to semifinals. Okay. Athletes who perennially make it to semifinals. Is that you? Nope. So you can't skip one without passing through the other, right? Yes. And likely making it to your first semifinal isn't even going to allow you the psychological and emotional control and competitive experience to be able to garner yourself an advantage so great you can go seize one of those top 2 or top 3 spots, right? Probably. Right. So here's what we need to work on today. Let's make you, without a shadow of a doubt, a semifinal competitor. Let's make you an athlete who can approach the open with one and done and sit on your laurels and get back to training and watch all these other chumps repeat workouts. Like, let's get you there. So that then, now, if you want to win the open, you probably gonna have to redo them. If you want to win the region, you probably gonna have to redo them. If you want to be top 5, you probably gonna have to redo them. But the idea is that you've got to be able to start somewhere and manage where you want to go first, because a lot of people set themselves up for failure because the process is towards an end goal that they really don't even know what it encompasses yet. So while I wanted to be an NFL football player, which I failed at, I first knew that I needed to play varsity as a freshman. So I attacked that headlong. Then I knew that I needed to be a starter as a sophomore. So I attacked that headlong. Then I knew that I needed to rush for X, Y, and Z. And so in order for me to rush for X, Y, and Z or have many tackles or do the thing, guess what I figured out real early is that football's 11 on 11 and I had to have some dogs around me. So I had to invest in my people. I couldn't be the only one grinding in the weight room. I had to take people with me. I had to make people go. I had to babysit. From the time I was 15 years old, I've been babysitting other people my age and older because I needed them to be successful. I selfishly wanted to be successful. So I went and got them. I took the beer out of their hands in high school because I said, because you're going to be at practice tomorrow. And when you're throwing up in the corner, I'm still going to keep working you. And I'm also going to let coach know we need to run extra suicides a day. Because on Friday night, you weren't just playing for you were playing for me, and I'm about to go somewhere. So that's always been my kind of mentality and the way that I work. And I really want to be able to instill that on people. And I'm answering these questions that are coming in. I'm spending more time than I probably should ranting to you guys. But if you found some motivation from this video on how to trust the process, and really it had little to do with the process and more about how you find the process in which you're trying to trust, then please drop me a comment, drop me some encouragement. And of course, please comment on something that you want to hear more advice about from a coach's very experienced athlete's perspective and someone who's guiding people through their own personal process to endeavor many different goals in many different ways in life. But thanks again. It's been Coach Conway. Keep rising.